Good day, everyone. Today we have Audi Q3 and we are going to change the fuel injector. It's causing the check engine light. This one currently has about 135,000 kilometers or 84,000 miles on it. We scanned the code and it is a P0301 code. So let's get under that hood and let's get to work.
Okay, so we have a cylinder 1 misfire. So here's cylinder 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. For any Audis, what it is, easiest way to remember it, cylinder 1 is closest to the front of the engine where there's nothing connected, so that's where your timing belt or timing chain would be. Now in this particular vehicle, whenever you have cylinder 1 misfire, you should always first make sure your engine's clean. And what I mean by clean inside is I mean make sure it's not a carbon buildup, that can cause it. On this engine, we've done that. Second thing to consider is spark plugs and coils. We've actually replaced the coil. It still says number 1, and when I mean replace, I mean we swapped it around. So no matter where we swapped our coils and where we moved them around, it always came back as cylinder 1 was misfiring. So we know it's not the coils, not the spark plug, engine should be fairly clean. So what we're going to do is assume it is a fuel injector down in the intake manifold. So in order to make the video a little bit shorter, more focused on just the injectors, what I'm going to do is just sort of skip past doing all the coil work because that is in another video. So if you want to see that, just click on the link and you can see that. Okay, so what you need to do the job, you need a new gasket. So this will be the intake gasket. And here are some seal kits. You can see there's a Teflon seal, rubber seal, and there's another one hiding in there somewhere. In this bag you can see it. So there's actually the 3 seals. And what we're going to do is we're going to put new seals on the injectors. And then here is what the actual injector looks like. Let's take it apart. So there is a new injector. So hopefully it should be the problem. We've sort of went through everything else step by step. So let's get to it. Okay, so let's remove this air filter pipe here. These are 2 Torx 25 bits. Okay, so now it's open a little bit better there. So now we can actually see, down there in the intake. So we're gonna have to take off the oil filter, but I usually wait for that just to make sure no crud goes down there, but we'll stick a rag. And then we have all our other Torx bits up there. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to start taking off these lines, these rubber lines. And as you can see, they're just held on with little squishy clips. So we can just take some pliers and get those off. Those are coming up next.
As I've speeded up the video so you can see everything happening there in quick motion, maybe I'll take this time to ask you guys if you have any comments. Leave them below if you think I'm being too technical or maybe you want me to skip past more steps or whatever, but I try to show in all my videos absolutely every step that I do.
Okay, so there was the 2 connectors. There's one right there. There was a hose you saw I took off. There's another one there. So basically there's just a few connectors. So we're gonna undo, make sure all these wires are free. And then there's some stuff we have to do from the bottom. Okay, for these things here, you just squeeze and they just pop off. They can be a little tricky. If I can zoom in, I can show you how they... There you go. So this part here, you just squeeze and it just pushes down. You can actually see it moves. If I take something like this, you can see it actually moves. There you go. So we just squeeze those and then they come off. You can decide if you want to take this one off. I usually do this way. This whole thing is right out of the way. Just like that. You just put it to the side. A vacuum pipe. I usually just take it right off. You can see here, it just unclips from here, it just unpulls. There we go. Okay, and you can see here the pipe here that I pulled out of here, all the, well, rubber piping, I guess, not plastic pipe or anything like that, and I just kind of tucked it up here, so it's just tucked out of the way. We still got a few electrical connectors, so we're still gonna do those electrical connectors, same with a couple little vacuum lines, so we're still gonna take care of those. Okay, so I just wanna show you close, because it's hard, because there's a bunch of stuff here. So on this side of the manifold, there's a little, vacuum hose that goes to the back up in there. So we're gonna pull that off. The intake. And then as well, there's the fuel supply line. You can see right there. And it goes right back in there. You can see that. So we're just gonna scoot a little wrench in there. And then we're gonna get that piece right in. Now these hoses that run around the side of the engine right here, these are actually coolant hoses, these ones. The first one here that I took off that was that was just an evaporative emissions hose, so that's fine, there's nothing in here. But if you disconnect this, you're gonna get coolant. So what we're gonna do is, there's a T30 bolt right there, so we got our little socket. Yeah, so right here we have our T30. There's a shot back of the engine, just so you know what it looks like, so you don't get confused which part we're working on. So T30 right in there, and then if we zoom out, right underneath here, right in there, it's underneath, you can't see it, but there is a bolt under there. If we do these, we should be able to separate the intake, and without draining the coolant, we can leave these, because these coolant hoses run all the way along to the bottom, and then we have to undo this here, which is just from the air intake that runs down there. There, and now you can see this whole thing is loose, and it's actually separated from the intake manifold. So that's great. We may not even have to take off the oil filter. We'll see if we can get into that torque spit in there. Okay, and now for these connections right down there. So these three, I could fight with the connectors, but you know what? There's two Torx bits, one right there, one right there. The number is, it's a T30, just like on the other side. So I'm gonna take out these two bits and just let this fall down, and then we'll see, hopefully we can leave all the wires connected, because these wires run up here, and you can see they're pinned in around the transmission and stuff like that. So if we can just disconnect these two bolts here, maybe we can just lay this aside, just like we did for the coolant lines. Okay, and as we can see now, this appears to be loose and disconnected from the intake. So some of these wires here, we'll see, they might just go to the back. I don't know if they connect here to the intake, but as soon as we disconnect the main intake bolts, what we're gonna do is we won't reef it out. We'll just pull it out slowly and see what's still connected to see what we have to connect or disconnect, if anything. As I can see, there's still this one evap hose, which is right here. It goes to the top of here, comes right down. There's a little fitting here. You can see fitting here, and then it actually connects to the back right there. Right there, it's connected into the back of the intake. So we should be able to just pull this sucker off. And if not, what I'll do, actually, it's probably easier to take it off on this side, leave it on the intake. So let's pull it off here. There we go. So we pull it off there. And you know what, we'll just leave it attached right to the intake. So this way it's fine, it'll come off with the intake. Easier to do it that way. Always let's try to find the easiest way. Okay, so now we're gonna undo the fuel line. It is a 17 mil. So we're just gonna get in there with our 17 mil wrench. Just wanna make sure we're not gonna get spraying. And there we go, it's loose. May even be able to get in there with my hands now, or a stubby wrench anyway. We'll try to get in there with a stubby wrench. It is quite tight in there. There we go, it's coming. There we go, and you can see it is disconnected. Okay, so I just took off this connector just here by just squeezing it. It's just on the top. This one here, little connector here, same thing. You just squeeze in there with a pair of pliers, actually, or not pliers, sorry, screwdriver. I just lifted it, popped it free. Now it's attached to the back here, and it's quite a tough clip to get. So you know what, there's two little Torx. There's one right there, and one right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take off this bar, and then I can get this connector wire really easily. I can take that off from the back. There we go, and oh, there's one more right there, and that's a 10 mil bolt holding it. So we'll get a socket for that and take that one out too. Okay, and as you can see, the whole screw turned. So if we're looking, yeah, it's right there. And then now this is what I was talking about here. Now we can twist it over so we can easily get this clip undone, and then the wire will be done. What I'll probably do on the bench is just separate this this piece here, because as you can see the top part stayed and it just twisted. And actually maybe it looks like it's made that way. Okay, so that's fine. And what that does is there's a little bracket there that holds that piece right there, which we've already disconnected. So let's disconnect this clip here. Two 7mm bolts right there. Well, not bolts, but hose clamps are 7mm. And then you can see where my socket is. What happens is this flexible pipe that connects to the throttle body is attached to this plastic, I guess, thing, coupler, whatever you want to call it, and it really can't move. It's bolted to the side of the engine. So there's two T30 bolts. See if I can get down there. I know my socket's on it. There you go. There's one right there. You can see it's on it. And then there's another one right underneath. We can do that one underneath. And what that'll do is it'll allow me to pull this plastic thing back so I can take off the rubber boot under the throttle body, so I can get under the throttle body. Okay, and here we are underneath. You can see there's the oil pan, everything underneath. And there's that bracket right there. So there's a bolt and it's right in there. You can kind of see it. There you go. It's a Torx bolt, so it's easiest to get it underneath. So we're gonna have to get our little extension in there with a wobble, and then we'll be able to undo this, and then that whole bracket should come free. So there's two bolts, both T30s. Okay, so I've taken those two bolts off that we talked about. So this part, you can see it's much looser. And actually, if I show you where the plastic piece is right there now, it's loose. I can actually wiggle it around, you can see. So we should be able to get this bottom piece off here, the throttle body. Okay, so what I've done is I've actually pulled it off, so you can see it's pulled off there. I'll take the rubber off, and then we'll be able to take a better look under the throttle body, see if there's any brackets or anything like that. This one's different from an A4. This Q4 or this Q3 is different, just the way the wiring is and everything. So I know on the A4 it's a little bit different, so it's nice to, I haven't been able to find any videos on a Q3. So if I can just loosen this up, I don't know why, this is really tight on the plastic. And I'm gonna need a pick to get that out, it's too tight. Okay, so we got our handy dandy pick. So we're gonna get up in here underneath and try to just loosen it off a wee bit, just so we can take this plastic piece off. It'd be really good if we can get this off. I don't know why it's so tight, it's just the way it is. You just gotta break the seal, I suppose. Might have to loosen up the bracket a little bit more. There we go, I think I might have loosened it a bit. There we go, yep. Wow, this is tight. And there we go, there we have our bracket. And actually you can see the amount of oil that the engine ingests, and that's what goes on the back of the valves, and that's what causes a lot of the valve carbon. Oil separator is a good idea because it'll take care of that. So now that this is out of the way, we can be able to see a little bit more underneath. Show you, as most don't. Underneath there is a bolt. I don't even know, I was able to see it with the mirror. But the big thing is there is a number 10 triple square. Let me see if I can get it. Not too sure. There it is, the number 10 triple square. You can see right there, it's very difficult to see. That's a bracket, and it runs up to a 10mm bolt or 10mm nut that connects to the bottom of the throttle body. There we go. There's a shot of the bracket. You can see the throttle body. You can see the number 10 bolt, and that bracket runs to the number 10 triple square. So it's easiest to undo the number 10 triple square off the engine. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so I got my number 10 triple square in there just to show you. So there you go. You got to push the coolant lines over and then wrench it out. But you definitely need an extension. It's almost impossible to see doing this job. You can see there it is, it's turning. And there's the engine, so very difficult spot to get into. And there's the bolt, number 10 triple square. Okay, so now we're gonna undo the intake manifold bolts, and as we can see, there's 5 very easy ones on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the bottom, you can barely see, but if I take, there you go, there's one. It's an actual nut and a bolt. It's down in that area there. Let's see if we can get a focus. There we go. And if you look at the throttle body, you can see these divots. So there's right here, you can see right there. So everywhere there's one of these divots, if you take an extension and you go in underneath, then there is a bolt underneath. I wonder if I can go, there you go. So the tool will go there, and there you can see. So right there, and let's see if we can get in this one. I don't know if we can with the camera. Let's try. There we go, just like that. So you can see them. They're in there, they're tough, but we can get at them, there you go, with the extension. Okay, so here's what I've done. I've taken a quarter drive extension too, so it's quite long. They're all T30s. And then what we can do is we're just going to slide them in here underneath, just like so. And then if we feel around, what we can do is we can actually look, and you can see the socket there. And there we go, first bolt out. Now to let you know, the first bolt I took out, there's actually still hanging there. They'll come out when the intake comes out. It was really tight. This one seemed really loose, so I don't know if whoever was in here before followed the proper torque sequence and torque specs, but they definitely they came out different. This one was tighter, obviously. Okay, and the last two on the bottoms, here, there, and there, they are 10 mil, and we can just slip in. So I have the oil filter out now. That's all I did. Until it's loose, and I think it's just those injectors. It's all that's holding it on. Okay, gave it a good tug, and it's definitely loose now. I just want to make sure we're not hung up. And on this side, so I'm just taking a look. It's almost all, I don't know if I forgot anything, but I think it should be in good. I don't want to break any clips or anything. Okay, so I've removed it, and what was really hanging up there a little bit, just so you guys are aware, was this connects to the intake manifold. I'll show you where. This one stayed in, this one stayed in, this one came out, and then that one stayed in. Now this one we got to pull out. We have the injector removal tool, just because this one has to be replaced. That's the #1 injector, so we have to replace that. And then there was this here. So basically, when you're looking through it, this was kind of tight as well. I don't know if this is some type of sensor down here. So you just got to really move slow, and then just disconnect what has to be disconnected. Those go on top again. Those ones that go on top. So not too bad of a job. So here we'll take a close look at the inside of the valves. You can see there the injection cleaner was actually done. Let me move this gasket out of the way. About 10,000 kilometers ago, and that's how bad they are again. So they're pretty gunked up. I'll see what I can do to clean them there. Maybe, I don't know, I'll take some type of cleaner or something, see what I can get in there. But that's how they look after about 10,000 K. Okay, so here we have the intake manifold. It's taken off. You can see what we left on. So we can see that was one of the clips was really hard. And I guess when Audi twisted it in, as you can see, the tab that had to release was here. So it was really, really tight. Too bad it couldn't have been turned there, and then it would have been a lot easier to take off. But oh well. So anyway, and here's where that bolt goes in. That's a number 10 triple square goes in. When this is sitting like this, you can see that's where it would be down on the block. So that's where it is. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it this way, and we're gonna look. So there's our injectors. The one injector stayed. connected, but we'll replace the seals on it anyway. Sometimes all the injectors come out, you're lucky. This time they stayed in the block, so we're gonna have to use a tool, and then you can see there's the one seal right there for the injector. Okay, so now I'm gonna get in there with a little bit of like a wire thing, and then I'll blow it out with compressed air. I wanna make sure everything's clean. You can see I've taken out one of the, I guess, dividers, if you want to call them. I got my handy dandy kit. I'll probably wreck half of this kit doing it. I got brass, so it's soft. Steel is hard, and then plastic, super soft. What I'm gonna have to do too is clean the bore right in there where the injectors are. So once I pull them, we'll make sure it's all nice and clean. You can see how dirty the tool is getting. It's picking up a lot of that stuff, and then we'll just blow it out. It's absolutely filthy in there. It's looking a little cleaner in there. I mean, I don't have the walnut blasting tool or any of the fancy stuff, so we're just getting away with throttle body cleaner is what I'm using. And then, like I said, we're just going easy on a wire wheel, or sorry, a little wire brush there, making sure we don't scrape too hard. We don't want to damage anything, but just so we could take out the big parts, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. Okay, still cleaning. So you can see what I've done is I've actually cleaned the plates off a little bit too, so I can put them back in. This one's all done, and then you pull it out, and you can see quite dirty. Okay, as we can see, I have them done. They're pretty good. I don't know if I can shine some light in there, but you can actually see where the valves are. And it's pretty good. I mean, I don't have a walnut blaster, but I'd say that's pretty clean. Now, the last one is not done. What I've been doing, just so you know, I want to show you a little trick here. I already cleaned these out. You can see these are cleaned out, but I wanted to wait to clean the last one right here so you can see. There's tons of stuff all over the valve. So what I did is I have some fluid that will dissolve carbon. So what I can do with this fluid is I can take it, kind of fill it up, pour it in there. Make sure the valves are closed so you can see the fluid is just sitting there. That's all it's doing. Let's get some more light there. There you go. And then what we do is we just take our, this is a brass brush, so it's not gonna scrape anything too badly, and valves are hardened steel, so it's not gonna do anything to valve stems or anything like that. And this is what I've been doing to clean them. Just have some special fluid here, and just go around them. Just make sure they're all nice and clean. Okay, and then once we're all done that, what I do is I have air compressor here. So I just take my handy dandy little air compressor. I take a rag. First I soak out whatever I can get out of it, and then I'll just use the air compressor. I'll put a rag over top of it, and then I'll just blow out any excess that I have. And then it'll be fairly clean, not as good as maybe walnut blasting or something like that. But for the garage, for, you know, a couple hours on a Saturday, you could save yourself quite a few dollars if you don't have to take it in to get that part done. So now we'll just use the air compressor, we'll blow it out. Okay, so I just finished there, and actually, as you can see, they look pretty good. I mean, there's a little bit of carbon you can see on the edges, but for the most part, the valve stems, everything looks pretty good. Okay, so now we're gonna take the last few, well, not the last one, but this one out. Number one, this is the one that gave us our code. So we have our little slide hammer tool here. I just screwed the end of this on. So we're going to put this on like this, and then we should be able to just and there we go. You can see we took it out just like that. There we go. So this is the bad injector. This is the one we'll be replacing. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is this injector is out, so we have our nice brush. We just give that one a cleaning. Number one, which we just took out. We're just gonna give that one, make sure the bore is nice and clean. There we go, just like that. Okay, so this fuel injector stayed in the manifold, so we're gonna actually change the seals on this. So So we have our new Audi seals. There's actually 3 of them that are gonna go. There's a little plastic one with a split. There's a rubber one on the end, you'll see, and then there should be a nylon one hiding in there somewhere. We'll change it. Okay, so we had one injector left in the manifold, so I was able to pull that out. I just used a little bit of penetrating oil, actually, and a screwdriver, just being careful not to damage anything there. And I was just able to pull it out. So now what we're gonna do is change the seals, and you can see there are 3 little seals. So this one we can almost pull off with our hands, almost. I'll just get a little screwdriver for that one. There we go, just like that. Don't want to confuse them with the old ones. And then this one, it actually goes on one way, it looks like. You can see there's a little lip there. Do you see that little lip? So make sure that this one has the same lip, and then it goes just like that. The front part is very bad. Let me see if I can get some light on for you. There we go. So the front part here, just going to zoom in. There you can see it's really, you can barely see the holes. There you go, you can see the holes. There's quite a bit of carbon up there. So we're going to make sure we give it a good cleaning. And then change the seals on this one too. So we're changing the seals on all the spark plugs. Or sorry, not spark plugs, all the injectors. There we go. We can see it's pretty darn clean there. A little piece of carbon, I guess there. We'll take that off. That's not even a piece of carbon. What that is there is that's a stamping number from the factory. It's an actual number. So yeah, not even a piece of carbon. Okay, so when you got this off, how I actually pulled it off was with just a pair of needle nose pliers. So then this one, you just kind of stretch over nicely. There we go. Just like that, it's over. And then we got our new rubber one. That one goes over, so now it's, that's good. There we go. Just like that. Now the new seal, how we're going to put the new seal on is we need some tools because we got to stretch it over. So we have a little brass tool here, and then this, we just push it on and it's going to squish it back to size. And if you look at the brass tool here, it's got a little divot right there, and that divot can line up with this here. This way it stays on top just like this. Now we can see here it's obviously too loose. So we got to fit it, take the larger taper side. I think it's this one. Yeah. There we go. Now that one's too big. There we go, we can see it just, there we go, just like that. So that's the one. Still looks like it's a little bit too big. I'd like to shrink it just a wee bit more. And I think this one can go over it a little bit more. If we go over, there we go. There we go, just like that. There. There, nice and good. Oh, I should say, quick thing. Don't forget to put this piece back on. And that just goes over just like that, and it just snaps on like that. Let's put the injectors back in. Make sure it's dry. Like I said, I used a little bit of brake clean, blew it out, which is compressed air. So you want to make sure the bores are clean. So if you have to just slowly push and then twist 180. There we go. This one's in, just like that. And they're all in. Okay, perfect. All the injectors are in. Time to start putting this back together. Okay, so I blew everything out. I know everything is dry. I'm just gonna put my spark plugs back in, and then we're gonna start assembling everything again. Install our new gasket, and we got to look, there's a little tab mark there, if you can see that little tab mark there, so everything's going to line up nice when we push our gasket in. There we go, just like that. We're looking at it from this point of view. We can actually see where the 4 bolts go on the bottom. That's a nut, that's a bolt, that's a bolt, and that's a nut. So we can actually almost just stick our bolts in here because they'll be really easy to put in here, and then we don't have to fight with them. So we kind of know they're gonna go that way, just like that. You can see there they are. The threads are sticking out a little bit right there. There we go, just like that. So that's our 2 bolts. So we'll put them in now. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, the injector plugs up. So we're gonna do these. Where's that other one hiding? Ah, there it is. So I'll snap all of those 4 up because those are impossible to do once it comes. And then all these other ones, what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of get the intake in place, and then we'll start snapping them in because these ones are pretty tight. And then actually these ones just come along the side of the throttle body up to the top. Then we have our little vacuum hose just like before. Everything will go back together. Manifold here, you can see here's where that triple 10 mil bolt is going to go. This is going to go actually between these. It's going to go right through here, and we're going to use these bolts here as guides, and they're going to go through here. We already put our 2 center bolts right there, and then the nuts will go, or not the nuts, these studs here will go right through here, and we can use that as a guide as we sort of slip it all back in. The other thing I should say is just these rings are going to be really tight, and the rings I'm referring to is the new seals here for the fuel line. So what I do is I just put a little bit of oil on those, just because when they're going into, let me see here, on the other side, there you go, when they're going into their holes here, if you put a little bit of oil, it makes all the difference for sliding them back in, and that won't harm anything. Okay, so what I've done now is I've put it in, but loose. I've snapped a few connections that I had to, the one over there, there's the one underneath, but it's still very loose. And what I'm doing is I'm just fishing all the wires through to make sure that I don't have to pull it out because I forgot a wire or something like that. You can actually see where that'll just bolt up right back there again. There is one connection I have to fish down in there. I know it's in there somewhere, I saw it. So I gotta pull that one out. So I just wanna make sure I have all my connections. There's 3 on top, which is good. 1, 2, 3, and those go here. 1, 2, and 3. So those go there. That's good. And then I just got to route it through here. Move this through here. Here's the lines here, the coolant lines, and we'll snap all that back together. So just take your time putting all the lines back together because they do take some time. And once you push it in, it's really hard to get it out. And if you seat the manifold in and pull it out, you might have injectors come out again. And if you have injectors come out again, then you got to buy new seals, and because you need to put new seals on every time they come out. All right, so let's start it up and see what happens.
So the audio is running great, no check engine light, so it is a success. I know this was a bit of a longer video. I get it. I wasn't even too sure if I was going to cover the carbon cleaning, but I decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to include this in the video because maybe I'm going to be able to help someone out. So I did, so that's why the video was a little bit longer. Please, if you like the video, hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up. I put a lot of effort into these videos. And better yet, if you like the content, I would really appreciate if you'd subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. GarageKing over and out.